With the trade deadline in the rearview mirror and just only 17 games left in the season, the Penguins head to Vegas for a late night showdown against the Golden Knights. My name is Scott McGregor, and this is Penguins Postgame. Let's get started.
You're locked in to Penguins Hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Sidney Crosby and the Penguins play here on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Hey, shoot, he scores! The bingo game is ready to roll. Welcome to Penguins Postgame. PPG for PGH. And you'd have to be here to believe it. Here is your host, Scott McGregor.
Well, Penguins fans, that was certainly not the kind of hockey that I was looking forward to hearing on the Penguins radio network. That said, let's take a look at our head coaches and matchups in goal between the Penguins and the Golden Knights in the first of two meetings this season between the two teams. Oh, where are my manners? Welcome in, Penguins fans. Welcome in, Golden Knights fans. My name is Scott McGregor. I am your host of the program, Penguins Postgame. It's the Golden Knights and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Let's see how the Penguins and the Golden Knights fared in matchup number 1 down at T-Mobile Arena on Friday night. The head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights is Bruce Cassidy, and he would send Ilya Samsonov to the net on Friday night with Adin Hill as the backup against the Penguins, and their head coach, Mike Sullivan, who would counter with Alex Nedeljkovic in goal and Tristan Jarry as the backup. Alrighty, before we take our first break of the program, let's talk about the game on Friday night, and boy oh boy, was it a rough night for the Penguins in Vegas. We begin in the first period of play, and things kicked off with Evgeny Malkin getting called for a tripping penalty just 58 seconds in to the game, and the Penguins would go to the penalty kill to open the game. A little later, Ryan Shea gets called for a high sticking penalty at the 7-minute and 18-second mark of the period. So the Penguins have gone to the game's first two penalties of this hockey game, leaving Vegas with the game's first two power plays of the Friday game on Friday night. Chris Letang will make it a third power play for the Vegas Golden Knights as he goes late in the period at the 18-minute and 10-second mark of the period. So there you have it. There are your penalties in this game, as there were no penalties called in the second period, no penalties called in the third period of play either. The Golden Knights scored early in the first period and never looked back, with Tanner Pearson getting the party started. 12 minutes and 58 seconds in for his 11th goal of the season. Mark Stone picking up his 36th assist of the season. Zach Whitecloud also picking up an assist, number 7 on the season. And Vegas goes up 1-0 after 20 minutes of play. The scoring for Vegas would continue in the second period as Barbashev gets Vegas their second goal of the game and his 19th goal of the season, just 4 minutes and 38 seconds into the second period of play. Mark Stone picks up his second assist of the night and his 37th assist of the season. And Nicholas Hague picks up his 6th assist of the season as the Golden Knights go up 2-0 after 40 minutes of play. Moving on, we talk about the trade deadline. Well, new additions ruled. Fast forward, third period of play. Here we go. Vegas's onslaught continued as just acquired from the Boston Bruins in a trade, Brandon Saad scored his 10th goal of the season and first goal as a Vegas Golden Knight in his Golden Knights debut. 10th goal of the season, first goal as a Vegas Golden Knight. 2 minutes into the third period of play, with help from Thomas Hertl and Brayden McNabb. For Brayden McNabb, it was his 10th assist of the season. Thomas Hertl, his 25th assist of the season. And Mark Stone picked up his 17th goal of the season a few seconds later. 17th goal of the season for the captain of the Vegas Golden Knights, Mark Stone. Tanner Pearson, a goal, doesn't have an assist yet. Picks up one on the Stone goal for his 12th assist of the season. And Jack Eichel picks up his 55th assist of the season. Time of the goal for the Golden Knights, third final goal, I should say, the fourth goal of the game. 2 minutes and 54 seconds in. The Golden Knights were outshot for the game at the beginning of the game, 9-6. The Penguins added on 2 more. They added on another 9, I should say. And they were leading, still outshooting the Golden Knights. They had 18 shots on goal after the second period of play, with 9 shots on goal periods. A 6 and a 9 for the Vegas Golden Knights. 6 shots on goal in the first period. They tack on 9 in the second period. It's 18-15 Pittsburgh. So here come the Vegas Golden Knights. 6 plus 9, plus 12. And guess what? The Vegas Golden Knights, by the end of the game, outshot the Penguins 12-4. And in response to that, the Penguins finished the game with 4 shots on goal in the third period. They are outshot by the Golden Knights 27-22 in the Penguins' 33rd away game. And excuse us there, sorry about that. And Vegas's 33rd home game. That's game 62 for the entire season for Vegas, but it's their 33rd home game. The Penguins have now played in 33 away games and only have 17 games left on the season. Meanwhile, the Vegas Golden Knights, who have played in now game 62, are down to just, I did that wrong. Sorry about that. I hit the plus instead of that. They are down to at least 20 games remaining. They will have 19 games remaining after their next matchup. And by the time they play Pittsburgh once again, by the time they play the Penguins once again, which will be on Tuesday night when they do it again, they have, as I said before, they've played now 62 games. So they have only 20 games remaining as we speak right now. They have only 20 games remaining. By the time they play the Los Angeles Kings tomorrow night and then the Penguins on Tuesday night again, they will have played in 64 games, which means they will only have, when you look at where they are now, actually no, 63. No, I had that right, 64. They will have 18 games remaining by that timeline. Meanwhile, the Penguins, they're down to 17. They'll be down to 16 after the matchup with the Minnesota Wild this Sunday afternoon. And they will be down to 15 games after playing the Golden Knights for the second time in a row, I should say, this season. But we'll get to more on that a little bit later. So the shots on goal, 27-22 for the game. The remaining stats of this hockey game, we're going to utilize what we have for you, regardless on how many faceoffs were taken in the game. We're going to utilize what we have for you from the stat line for everything else, including our faceoff percentages, power play, penalty minutes, hits, block shots, giveaways, and takeaways. You get the picture. We'll get that all to you coming up in a matter of moments. But first, we owe you a break. We owe you our first commercial break. So when we come back, stats of the game on shot, not including the shots on goal. The play of the game is coming up, and the 3 stars of the game also on the way. And I want to get a look at our action from Friday. We'll get to that all when Penguins postgame continues. When we return, 3 stars of the game, the play of the game, and the stats minus the shots on goal for this game on Friday night, March 7th, 2025. Penguins postgame will continue in a moment. Stick with us.
What a busy traffic on this Friday evening. I am almost stuck in this traffic for the last 40 minutes. And there is no way, I think, for me to get to the show. The CNT Radio Song Bank, which is going to start very shortly. It's one of my favorite shows. And my, what a way to wind down for the weekend. Perfect 2 hours of fun-filled music. And she has so many great features. Sound of Music, Undercover, Foreign Exchange. Name that tune. And the big wheel that she spins. For Who's That? Or Where Are We? We cannot forget about the international stage. I have never come across such a great show in my life. I think I will have to press hard on my accelerator and go as fast as I can to get home in time. Wow! Wow! Look! I made it! I am almost there! CNT Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Looking for a good hockey podcast that covers your favorite hockey teams and mine? Check out On the Ice and Behind the Benches, where we chat about our favorite hockey teams from puck drop to the last play of the action. To learn more, follow the On the Ice and Behind the Benches Facebook page. Search On the Ice and Behind the Benches.
Back here on Penguins postgame. Back here on the Penguins postgame. Make sure I got this right. Penguins and the Golden Knights. The Golden Knights shut out the Pittsburgh Penguins. I was supposed to say Toronto Maple Leafs. Mark Stone, Ilya Samsonov sparked Golden Knights past the Penguins for their 4th win in a row. Forward has 3 points. Goalie makes 22 saves in shutout. More on the Friday side of hockey action in a little bit, but before we get there, let's get down to the remainder of our stats. In case you missed it, Golden Knight fans and Penguin fans, from earlier, the only penalties called in this game went to Evgeny Malkin, Ryan Shea, and Chris Letang, coming at 58 seconds into the first period, 7 minutes and 18 seconds later, and at the 18-minute and 10-second mark of the first period of play. There were no penalties called in the second period or in the third period. And with that all being said, speaking of penalties and what have you, in case you missed it, the shots on goal for the game, 27-22 in favor of the Golden Knights. The Golden Knights winning 44.2% of their faceoffs. The Pittsburgh Penguins just about winning about 56% of their faceoffs, 55.8%. Both the power play and penalty kill for Pittsburgh and Vegas. When it comes to the power play for the Penguins, they did not see the ice. Neither did the Golden Knights penalty kill. So both of those sides 0-for-0. For the penalty kill for Pittsburgh, they go a perfect 3-for-3. And the Golden Knights 0-for-3 on the day, on a Friday night in Vegas. It was a night owl game in which the Penguins racked up the only penalty minutes in this one because, well, they took 3 penalties in that first period of play. And those again went to Malkin, Letang, and Ryan Shea. In the order of Malkin, Ryan Shea, and then Chris Letang. 6 minutes in the box for the Penguins. No minutes in the box for the Vegas Golden Knights. They did a nice job staying out of the penalty box in all 60-minute periods, all 20-minute periods in the 3 periods of play. The Penguins spent 6 minutes in the box in between plays during the first period. But of course, the big play that started their penalty minutes was 58 seconds. Malkin gets nabbed for a tripping call. And just to make sure I have that right, yep, that's right. Tripping on Ivan Barbashev. If I pronounce that wrong, Ivan, I apologize. Same thing for Jack Eichel. And of course, Howden as well. Chris Letang getting the call on that one. More from our stats. Well, the Vegas Golden Knights may have outshot the Penguins and pulled off a surprise in the shot total at 27-22. But in the hits category, it was the Penguins who got the last laugh in the hits category, out hitting the Vegas Golden Knights 26-15. They blocked 9 of Vegas's shots, turned the puck over 20 times. I was about to say 29, but no, it was 20 giveaways for the Penguins. They did manage the only takeaway of the game, but they have a lot of work to do ahead of Tuesday against the Golden Knights when they do this kind of battle again, this time from PPG Paints Arena. The Golden Knights, 13 blocked shots, 17 giveaways, and no takeaways in the game. So maybe they want to make sure that they take the puck away from Pittsburgh in the Tuesday matchup down at PPG Paints Arena. We'll see. The game on the East Coast was at 10:08 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. to the exact. 9 p.m. Central started at about 8 minutes after 9 p.m. Central. 8 minutes after 8 p.m. Mountain Time. 8 minutes after 7 p.m. Pacific. 8 minutes after 3 a.m. in the UK, and 4 a.m. in France time. The game came to a close at 28 minutes after midnight on the East Coast. On the Central Coast, 28 minutes after 11 p.m. Pacific, 28 minutes after, yeah, make sure that's better. 28 minutes after after 9 p.m. in Pacific side. On the Mountain Time Zone, 28 minutes after 10 p.m. Mountain Time, and 28 minutes after 5 and 6 a.m. in the UK, 6 a.m., 5 a.m. in the UK, 5:28 a.m. in the UK, 6:28 a.m. in France is how this game finished. So you talk about a night owl game. How about a game that you're just waking up to if you're in France or in London? Anyways, those are your stats for the game. And now it's time for the 3 stars of the hockey game. Those brought to you by on the Penguins Radio Network that we are not sponsored by. Disclaimer, not sponsored by. Are brought to you by your neighborhood Ford stores in Pittsburgh. Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs are the official vehicles of the Pittsburgh Penguins. The 3rd star went to Tanner Pearson. 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. That's Vegas Golden Knight left winger Tanner Pearson. 2nd star of the game went to Mark Stone. 2 assists, 1 goal, 3 points on the day. And that is the captain of the Vegas Golden Knights, but he's also a Golden Knight right winger. And the 1st star went to Ilya Samsonov for the shutout he scored against this Pittsburgh Penguins hockey team. Save percentage of 1,000, goals against average 0.00. Ilya Samsonov, Mark Stone, and Tanner Pearson, your 3 stars of this hockey game. All right, time now for our play of the game. And this is where we are going to take, actually, we have a little bit of time here. We have a little bit of time here before we take a break. So I will try to get around to the shake of the game. But that will also mean we will save the NHL Friday look around for our closing moments of the show. But you know what? That's okay. And I do want to remind you as a programming note, tomorrow's game, in place of the game puck of the game, will be Bucks and Pucks. As we take a look around the MLB for the Toronto Blue Jays. And of course, we want to check in on those Buccos, the Pittsburgh Pirates. We want to check in on those Buccos. Toronto Blue Jays part will also be a part of some Toronto sports action, not necessarily involving the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are currently battling at the timing of our recording. They are currently battling the Colorado Avalanche at 4:30 p.m. I should say at 4-3 in the second period. That is what the score is currently. And a couple early finals from today's recording as we are doing it today. The Rangers went into overtime and lost to the Senators 4-3. Carson Soucy, making his Rangers debut, does manage to score a goal. But in the end, it would be Brady Tkachuk to win the game in overtime. The Philadelphia Flyers fall 4-1 to the Seattle Kraken. Owen Tippett with the only Flyer goal. Matty Beniers with one of the goals for the Kraken. Chandler Stevenson and Brandon Montour also with a goal. And then, of course, we have Ty Cartier with one of those goals. A few shutouts to speak of. The Panthers defeat the Sabres 4-0. And the Bruins beat the Lightning 4-0 as well. Those are the games from today so far that have been finaled. I'm sure you'll get a full recap of that on Maple Leaf Post Recap, Avalanche and Maple Leafs. We'll bring you our Friday recap a little bit later, minus the Penguins and the Golden Knights. But here is our play of the game. That is brought to you by on the Penguins Radio Network. That is, of course, brought to you by Rivers Casino, Pittsburgh's entertainment destination. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or somebody close to you and you play in Ontario, Canada, or anywhere in Ontario, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. We are not sponsored by it, by the way. We are not sponsored by anything yet. Could be coming down the road. If you have a difference in opinion in the way the Three Stars shaked up against the Penguins in this Golden Knights game, let us know in the Discord server or send an email to sportsforbeginnerspodcast 8231@gmail.com. Once again, sportsforbeginnerspodcast 8231@gmail.com. And during email, please be sure to use subject 3 stars of the game. Same thing, but only for the shake of the game, play of the game, and the game puck of the game. Just do not include 3 stars of the game in the subject. Please do it separately if you're sending an email. You can add the team names for the specific show you want. It's completely up to you. Our play of the game, well, I'm not going to play audio for you because we've been having some trouble with that. Not on this one, but I am going to pick my play of the game for you so that we at least do something on the play of the game. At least we do something. We can at least do something. And honestly, despite the Golden Knights not scoring on the power play, which I thought they might do it, they obviously didn't. I'm going to go to the goal scored in the third period by Brandon Saad. Nice pass there by Braden McNabb to Thomas Hertl. He puts stick on puck, gets it to Brandon Saad's tape, and he banks it home past Alex Nedeljkovic to make it 3-0 Vegas, and that's how it would end, 4-0. I mean, of course, you got to go with a Mark Stone, his goal as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to move forward to the part of the show where we find out who is going to be lucky enough to probably get the game puck of the game. We like to do both sides, so we will do that on the game puck of the game coming up a little bit later. And we want to do the shake of the game here, but you know what? We might run out of time here, so we're going to save that and do the game puck of the game and the shake of the game, as well as next up for the Golden Knights. Next up for the Penguins in our final moments of the show. And I'll even try to let you guys know when we will be doing a Wild versus Penguins recap. You are listening to Pittsburgh Penguins Hockey on Sports for Beginners, the podcast, coming to you live every Wednesday hockey night, or Wednesday off day rather, when the Penguins are on an off day. Before we say goodbye for this segment, just for this segment, not for the show, let's quickly provide you with our NHL Friday look around. Only 6 games on the slate, including the Golden Knights beating the Penguins 4-0. But aside from that, we had the Winnipeg Jets knock off the New Jersey Devils 6-1. The Capitals survive the Red Wings coming into the nation's capital of America, beating the Red Wings 5-2 with goals off the stick of Tom Wilson, Alexei Protas, Jacob Chikrin, and Taylor Radish. Mortis Cedar and Dylan Larkin with the only goals for the Red Wings in this one. Alexei Protas had 2 goals to make up the 5-2 score. The Hockey Club go into the Windy City. We go to overtime. And it's Connor Bedard to win it in overtime. Down in Vancouver, the Canucks taking on the Wild, who the Penguins will see tomorrow. They defeat the Minnesota Wild 3-1. Goals by Elias Pettersson, Brock Farber, Heather Sherwood, and Teddy Bluger, former Penguin Teddy Bluger. And, of course, the St. Louis Blues playing the Anaheim Ducks. They take care of business against the Ducks 4-3. All right, so we got a 6-1 final, a 5-2 final, a 4-3 overtime win for the Blackhawks over the Hockey Club, a 3-1 final, and a 4-3 final in regulation. Golden Knights, the only team to pick up a shutout on Friday night. All right. The shake of the game puck of the game. Next up for the Golden Knights and next up for the Penguins comes your way shortly. But when we return, it's time for the shake of the game and the game puck of the game. You are listening to Pittsburgh Penguins Hockey on Sports for Beginners, coming your way on the ice and behind the benches every Wednesday off day this season the Penguins have. Don't go anywhere. Our Night Owl Club action recap continues right after this.
Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout-outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bills, Raptors, and more. To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners.
Looking for conversations on the world of broadcasting, sports media, And from time to time, my favorite sports teams listen to Broadcast Map with me, Ali Musa. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Broadcast Map Facebook page. Search Broadcast Map. I wonder if I could make it. It's almost getting to 8 o'clock p.m., and I am still a few more steps away from home to get to my computer to listen to CNT Radio's Cosmopolitan Culture Club. The best of the best music from around the world. Can't wait! I think I made it! CNT Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time.
All right, back here on Penguins postgame. The Penguins fall 4-0 to the Vegas Golden Knights. They'll do it all again Tuesday night against the Golden Knights from Pittsburgh. Home cooking. Well, we'll see what the Penguins have in Pittsburgh when they do this again, to open up a 5-game homestand featuring the Golden Knights, the St. Louis Blues, and a few other teams I could mention, but we will mention that a little bit later in this segment. It is time for our Shake of the Game. This is a segment inspired, yes, I said inspired, by the Milkshake Factory ad created by former Penguin, now Tampa Bay Lightning player Jake Gensel. Whenever he scored when he was a Pittsburgh Penguin, Penguin fans at the Milkshake Factory can head over to the Milkshake Factory to get half off a Jake shake the next day, depending on the outcome. All that matters is if he scores, if Jake scores. That's all that matters. Meanwhile, now that he is not a Pittsburgh Penguin, the Penguins want to continue that legacy of the segment. So now every time Brian Rust scores, he's bringing back half off shakes at the Milkshake Factory, providing you the official milkshake of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Again, disclaimer, like the play of the game on the Penguins radio network and on the 3 Stars note, like on the Penguins radio network, those are sponsored by, for the 3 Stars, they are sponsored by your neighborhood Ford stores in Pittsburgh. Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs are the official vehicles of the Pittsburgh Penguins. That is in, of course, the Penguins radio network, which is a station that I do listen to. Also, the play of the game on the Penguins radio network is sponsored by Rivers Casino, Pittsburgh's entertainment destination. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. But we are not sponsored by that, nor are we sponsored by the Milkshake Factory, providing you the official milkshake of the Pittsburgh Penguins, or the official car, truck, and SUV of the Pittsburgh Penguins, Ford. But this is a really interesting segment that was born thanks to the inspiration that I got from hearing it on the radio station when Jake was still a Penguin player. He was still a Penguins player until he got traded. But I want to keep that legacy going as long as Brian Rust remains a Penguin. And just for the future of our Penguin postgame shows, this will be our player of the game segment. Unless we decide to swap it with the game puck of the game. We'll see. Speaking of that, players who receive in this player of the game segment we call the shake of the game, who receive a shake of the game honorable mention. The players who receive a shake of the game honorable mention will be in the running for the game puck of the game. Now, before we get down to business, a quick check-in on that action in Denver between the Maple Leafs and the Avalanche. That one is in the third period right now. The Avalanche trail the Maple Leafs 4-3 as we speak. And speaking of a quick check-in, why don't we check on the Toronto Raptors? They are in action right now, battling the Washington Wizards. And right now, the Washington Wizards have a 92. The Washington Wizards right now have a lead. They have a lead right now on. Right now, they have the lead on the Raptors. And they have quite a bit of a lead. They got quite a bit of a lead. Let's see what we could pick up from here. We're going to today, which is March the 8th. It's pretty close. It's pretty close. The Wizards lead the Raptors 94 to 84. It's a 10-point game right now. So if the Raptors could somehow find a way to pull a victory out, perhaps, they will pull a win. Their record right now, as they are playing in the third quarter, is 21-42. They are taking on the 12-49 Washington Wizards. Oh, update alert, update alert, update alert, update alert. Jonathan Drouin, unless this goal stays, he has his 9th goal of the season. And is that? Well, what do you know? Charlie Coyle, I guess he was traded too. The Avalanche have tied this one up 4-4. Okay, maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was in maybe he was in a few matchups that the Penguins have played the Avalanche in. Regardless, he's part of a now 4-4 game in Denver. Thomas will break down all the craziness for you coming up in a little bit, if possible. But that game is getting crazy down in Denver, and it's getting very interesting. That one's getting very interesting down in Denver. Meanwhile, the Flames hold a 1-0 lead in the third period with the goal by Joel Farabee, his 11th goal of the season. Michael Backlund and Mackenzie Weegar on the assist. 13th assist of the season for Backlund, and Weegar with his 29th assist of the season. And that's been the difference maker so far. Coming up later tonight, by the time you hear this show, it'll be final, most likely. But the Oilers host the Stars at 10 p.m. And the Sharks host the Islanders from the Shark Tank. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's not waste any more time. Let's get down to it, shall we? Here we go. I'll reveal the officiating crew later in this segment, as this is indeed going to be one of our last segments of the show. But we're going to hold the shake of the game off a lot more longer if I don't bring it out now. Let's go. So, despite the game not going the Penguins' way, there are at least two players that I want to give a shake of the game to. The first is Alex Nedeljkovic. Still managed to make at least 23 saves. He still managed to make at least 23 saves on the evening. But the dude was not getting any help in this game. He was making some nice saves. And yeah, you could say some of the goals are on him. You could say some of the goals that were given up are on him. You could say that. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that, being the fan that I am. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to do it. He faced 27 shots. 4 of those went in at even strength. He finishes the game with a save percentage of .852 and a time on the ice of 60 minutes. For the longest time, up until Vegas scored their first goal of the game, I felt like, even just not listening to the game but following it, I felt like Ilya Samsonov and Alex Nedeljkovic were going to take this game from the first period to the second period with no goals. I thought there was going to be no goals in the first period. I did not think there was going to be any goals in the first period. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you. And it almost would have happened. The second person I want to give a shout to, a lot of the Penguin players are minus in plus minuses. But I want to give my second shake of the game for the Pittsburgh Penguins to, I can't believe I'm saying this, even though he wasn't in the box, I'm giving it to Ryan Graves. Yeah, his total ice time at 16 minutes and 9 seconds. Not exactly what I would imagine in a hockey player, especially not for Ryan Graves, but he did manage at least 2 shots blocked. Sorry, managed to get 2 hits on the game. And honorable mention going out to one of the Penguins trade candidates that they traded for. That would be Tommy Novak. And I'm going to tell you right now, Tommy Novak, I first impressions are very not first impressions are very interesting things to make, but we're going to give an honorable mention to Tommy Novak. I like that I saw him get 2 shots on goal. I like the block that he got registered. Did I like how he played overall? No, not really. But it's his first game as a Penguin, so I'm not going to harp on him too much. Another person to get a honorable mention, as we were going to do 3 players from each side, going for the game puck of the game on each side. Another of the 3 Penguin players getting into that running for the game puck of the game is Philip Tomasino. And yeah, why not? Why not talk about a guy who got 5 shots on goal? Give it up for the Rusty Razor, Brian Rust, Tommy Novak, and Philip Tomasino. Those are my shake of the game honorable mentions, and they are in the running for the game puck of the game coming up in just a little bit. Our shake of the game recipient for the Pittsburgh Penguins is Alex Nedeljkovic, with Ryan Graves also getting a shake of the game. And again, the honorable mentions, in case you missed it, Philip Tomasino, Tommy Novak, and Brian Rust. They're going to get some love and go into the running for the game puck of the game. The shake of the game for the Vegas Golden Knights. We're going to do the same thing we did with Pittsburgh. 2 players from the Golden Knights are going to get a game puck of the game. And 3 players are going to go into the running for the game puck of the game. The first player to get a shake of the game is Nicholas Hag. Oh, sure, he doesn't have too many more assists than Mark Stone, but he gets 1 assist, picks up a hit. Yes, he gives the puck away. But I actually really like what I saw from Nicholas Hag. I really do. Takeaways, no takeaways registered there. He was a +1 with 1 point and a assist to boot that. And how about Ilya Samsonov? How about Ilya Samsonov? If I felt the Penguins were going to get shut out, I would have done exactly what I did last night when I found out that, well, pretty much the Penguins probably weren't going to come back into this game. I would have tuned out at least till post game to hear Staggy and Metz talk post game about the game. They just could not crack Ilya Samsonov. You're talking about a guy who used to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Look it up. Look it up. It's in his stats. Look it up. Look it up. It's in his career stats. Ilya Samsonov did play for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Speaking of whom, They have just fallen behind 5-4 late in the third period. I was going to say second period, but I quickly corrected myself there. For third period, it's 5-4. We got quite the show going on. A lot of Toronto sports action was happening today. The Blue Jays in spring training action. The Raptors playing currently the Wizards. And right now, they're in the fourth quarter. Where they are trailing 102-98. Well, maybe 102-96. Whatever is more clearer. But they are trailing the Wizards. Toronto FC lost to FC Cincinnati 2-0 in MLS soccer action. And it looks like the Maple Leafs might lose this game 5-4 to the Avalanche. They might lose it. I'm not saying they will. I'm not saying that. I'm saying they might. You'll know the outcome when you hear Maple Leaf Post recap. But with that said, Ilya Samsonov is my second recipient of a shake of the game. He was outstanding on Friday night. Did not let a single Penguin shot go by him. The dude was absolutely outstanding. 22 saves on 22 shots. The rest is history. A few players into the running for the game puck of the game. Those are Zach Whitecloud, goal scorer Mark Stone, and goal scorer Tanner Pearson. Actually, we'll replace Pearson as one of our Shake of the Game recipients with Mark Stone. No, never mind. I got it. Mark Stone, Tanner Pearson, and we're going to go to Zach Whitecloud. Our recipients for the Shake of the Game are Brandon Saad and Ilya Samsonov, as well as for the Penguins, Alex Nedeljkovic, and Ryan Graves. In the running for the game puck of the game for the Penguins, it's Tommy Novak, Brian Rust, and Philip Tomasino. In the running for the Golden Knights game puck of the game, Brandon Saad, Mark Stone, and Tanner Pearson. One of those three men will get it for the Golden Knights. The other will get it for Pittsburgh. With that being said, we're going to take a 30-second timeout, but before we get there, we will reiterate the Penguins' next 5 games when we come back after a 30-second timeout. But here's who the Penguins are playing coming up next. Tomorrow, they go toe-to-toe with the Minnesota Wild in the afternoon at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, that's 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. In just about 16 hours from now, they will be dropping the puck. And about 15 hours, they will be preparing on the radio station for Penguins Live pregame, which I believe will come our way at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Central, 11:30 a.m. Pacific, as the game is at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific, 2:30 p.m. Central. Then we're back to the Golden Knights on Tuesday night, 7 p.m., 6 p.m., 4 p.m., 4 p.m. Mountain. Sorry, not Mountain, Pacific, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Then the Blues are in town on Saturday, March 15th, 2025. That'll come your way on March 17th, on Monday, March 17th, 2025. Ahead of the game on Tuesday night between the New York Islanders and the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Devils game on Saturday is a 3 p.m. start next Saturday. But before that, we get to the Blues, we get to the Golden Knights, and the Wild. And this week on Sports for Beginners, the Blues game is our episode for Season 4, as we will recap the Blues game for you on a Penguins postgame show, season edition of Penguins postgame on Sports for Beginners. Get to the Golden Knights' upcoming next 5 games, reiterating the Penguins' next 5 games, and the game puck of the game right after this in 30 seconds from Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter one song at a time. We'll be back after this in 30 seconds from Sienna T Radio.
Sienna T Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down, nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on Sienna T Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on Sienna T Radio.
All right, back here on Penguins postgame late night hockey in Vegas on Friday night. It's time for our game puck of the game, and again, we are going to reiterate who the Penguins are facing on Sunday, who the Golden Knights are facing on Sunday. Golden Knights and the Penguins do battle once again on Tuesday night. But we are going to reiterate all of that in just a few minutes from now. Let's get to our game puck of the game. Quick reminder, the game puck of the game is going to be replaced by Bucks and Pucks in our Minnesota Wild recap on Penguin postgame. But with all that being said and done, with all that said and done, we'd like to let everyone know that recap comes your way right after this one is done And of course, right after the game is done in Minnesota, Minneapolis on Sunday. And without further ado, quick reminder of how the game puck of the game works. The game puck of the game works out like this. Players who are selected as runners-up will be in the running for the game puck of the game. We talked about our recipients in Alex Nedeljkovic and Ryan Graves for the Pittsburgh Penguins. We also have Ilya Samsonov and Brandon Saad as a Shake of the Game recipient. Those are the recipients for the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, the Golden Knights, we're going to start with them for the game puck of the game. And their game puck of the game belongs to out of Tanner Pearson, Tommy Novak, and Mark Stone. Oh, sorry. Tanner Pearson, Mark Stone, and Brandon Saad. Those are our recipients for the game puck of the game. It's going to go to the captain, Mark Stone. Really nice game by Mark Stone in this one. And again, in case you missed it in the opening of our program, we had not only Mark Stone get a goal, but in case you missed our stats, the Golden Knights outshot the Penguins 27-22. And a big factor in those shots was Pavel Dufay, Another big factor when it comes to hits, was Keegan Kolesar. And speaking of hits, Zach Whitecloud had a couple of hits in that game. Excuse me there. Ladies and gentlemen, excuse me there. But moving on, those are the Golden Knight recipients for the game puck of the game. We went to Mark Stone between Brandon Saad and Tanner Pearson, as well as Mark Stone, and gave it to Mark Stone. Recipients of the Shake of the Game were Ilya Samsonov and, of course, Brandon Saad. So Saad does get the Shake of the Game. He does not end up with the game puck of the game. But plenty of that to go around, especially on Tuesday night. When it comes to the Penguins, our recipients were Brian Rust, Tommy Novak, and Philip Tomasino. The recipients of the Shake of the Game for this game belong to Ryan Graves and Alex Nedeljkovic. Nedeljkovic started this game and finished this game, making 23 saves in case you missed it. On the 27, I should say, shots that Vegas had against him. He let in 4 goals against, finishes the night with a save percentage of .852, and was on the ice for 60 minutes. Ryan Graves, a -2, but got 2 shots on goal. Also registered 2 hits for the Penguins to account for their 26 hits in the game. Between Brian Russ, Tommy Novak, and Philip Tomasino, neither one of these men scored a goal in this game. But I gotta go with the Rusty Razor, Brian Rust. 5 shots on goal, was able to register a block and one of the 26 hits for Pittsburgh. And the rest is pretty much history there. So, with that said, that brings us to the next 5 for the Pittsburgh Penguins. We will reiterate their next 5 in just a little bit, as I have it in my notes as well. But as we like to close this show out, we like to close it out by looking at the next 5 matchups. And for the Vegas Golden Knights, that includes the Los Angeles Kings before they begin a 4-game road trip at home. Of course, the Kings are their last opponent at home for this homestand in March that has kicked off since the end of February. And it looked pretty long to me. Anywho, they will take on the Kings at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and of course, 1 a.m. in the UK and 2 a.m. in France. That's for the matchup for today. As of our recording has now ended up on Sunday, March 9th, 2025. They will meet the Pittsburgh Penguins on Tuesday, March 11th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Mountain Time. And we've got later the Columbus Blue Jackets on March 13th. Saturday, March 15th, it's an afternoon matinee game against the Buffalo Sabres in Buffalo. Before the Golden Knights head over to the Motor City for a showdown with the Red Wings to close out a 4-game road trip. And a short 3-game homestand before a 3-game road trip, unless they continue on the road into April. The Golden Knights continue on the road into April. From what I can see on their schedule here, it's a 3-game road trip on their schedule right now for the month of March after a 3-game homestand. So that much is true. For them. No, it looks like it's a 5-game homestand as they come into the end of March coming home. Oh, no, never mind. It is a 3-game road trip, and a 3-game homestand to end the month of March, 2-game homestand before a 3-game road trip in April, 2 more games in Vegas, and then their last back-to-back, besides the back-to-back between Calgary and, of course, Vancouver. Speaking of whom, they will wrap it up with Vancouver and Calgary in a back-to-back on the Tuesday, April 15th, and of course, on the 16th as well, which is a Wednesday of April in 2025. All right, closing up the show here with what's next for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Well, at the time of our recording, in just about 2 hours and 9 minutes from now, the Penguins will be going to work against the Minnesota Wild and their final ride with Marc-Andre Fleury. That ought to be a good one. As someone who's a Canadian hockey fan, I probably won't be able to catch this game on Sportsnet Pittsburgh in Canada, but I have an alternative, so I will be tuning in to catch this game live on the Penguins Radio Network, which is presented by S&T Bank. Sports for Beginners is not sponsored by S&T Bank, the official founding partners and bank of the Pittsburgh Penguins. But I will be tuning in to the station to check out the game. Who knows? Maybe I'll flip around some of our early action as of today to flip stations and see what else is going on. Anyways, moving on. We got the Golden Knights to kick off a 5-game homestand for the Pittsburgh Penguins as part of their next 5. That's on Tuesday, March 11th. On Thursday, March 13th, the Blues will be in town. Games are at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, and 4 p.m. Pacific, as well as 5 p.m. Mountain Time, midnight in the UK, and 1 a.m. in France. Afternoon matinee on Saturday, we will bring it to you on Monday, March 17th. Saturday, March 15th, it's the New Jersey Devils taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Mountain Time. Devils and the Pens. I will be following the game the best that I can. I might not tune into the game, but one thing's for sure. I will try my best to tune in the early morning to Penguins Live Weekly. So Brian Metzer and Paul Staggerwalt, if you're listening to this show by now, best believe I'll be there to tune into that show ahead of the Devils and the Pens. We will see if I can catch the game at 3 p.m. between the Devils and the Penguins. Penguins Live pregame gets started at 2 p.m. Eastern Time in just about an hour from now. And of course, well, actually, just about a couple of minutes from now, if it was a 3 p.m. start against the Wild, but it is a 2:30 p.m. start for the pregame show. The pregame show on Saturday starts at 2 p.m. Eastern, and the game itself comes your way at 3. Right after 2 minutes with the old 2-9er, which I believe, and those who are on the Penguins Radio Network can correct me if I'm wrong if they end up listening to this show. I know they probably will, as I am a Penguins fan. But you can correct me if I'm wrong. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe 2 Minutes with the Old 2-9er is sponsored by FedEx Ground, the official delivery company of the Pittsburgh Penguins. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But with that all being said, moving on. After the Blues, the Golden Knights, the Devils, the Penguins will be in action on Tuesday night, March 18th, 2025, as they take on the New York Islanders at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, and 4 p.m. Pacific. Our coverage of Wild and Penguins comes your way later after the game today. So enjoy the hockey game from the XL Energy Center as the home of the Minnesota Wild. We will bring you Penguins postgame right after the game. And in case you missed it, we will bring you Bucks and Pucks on that show in place of the game puck of the game. But we're still going to do the shake of the game. We're still going to break down the game. We're still going to do the 3 stars of the game. You name the content, but we want to make sure we check on in on those buckos, and we check in on, for me personally as a Penguins fan, I may not be a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, but I want to give some love to the Pittsburgh Pirates. I also want to give some love to my boys in blue. And no, I'm not talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm talking about the Toronto Blue Jays, who, as we speak, are going toe-to-toe with the Tampa Bay Rays as we speak. It is Tampa Bay Rays Day for the Blue Jays in spring training. Hoping to bring you what happened for the Pittsburgh Pirates in that game, or in their spring training action, whether that got canceled or whatever. And of course, bring you the action from Philadelphia as part of our Bucks and Pucks. We'll bring you some more action from around the MLB. But we're focused on the Pirates and the Tigers, as well as the Blue Jays and the Rays, and the Phillies and the Orioles. The Orioles are in a split squad game with their second squad taking on the Minnesota Twins right now. But you'll find out all about it on our Minnesota Wild recap. Minnesota and Pittsburgh do get it out. That is coming your way next time on Penguins postgame. So be sure to stick with us for that. The last time these two teams met was on October 29th, 2024, when the Wild defeated the Penguins 5-3. Will it be bittersweet in what could possibly be Marc-Andre Fleury's final stint in his season and his career if the Penguins lose this game? And the Wild will win the season series 2-0? Or will the Penguins get a big victory and have a bittersweet moment with the Flower, regardless on the outcome? The answers to come next time on Penguins Postgame. And speaking of next time, that will be when this game goes final between the Wild and the Penguins. But first, it's got to get started. My name is Scott McGregor. This has been Penguins Postgame. We will catch you on the flip side after the Wild and the Penguins. And in case you missed it, this week on Sports for Beginners, episode 7 of season 4 is a Penguins post-game show as we recap Penguins and the Blues as part of season 4 of Sports for Beginners. Again, my name is Scott McGregor. We will catch you on the flip side after Wild and Penguins. But always remember, Penguins fans, let's go Pens. Enjoy the hockey game. We will catch you after Wild and Pens.
Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building. You've just listened to Pittsburgh Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners or visit the official Sports for Beginners podcast website. Thanks for listening, and until next time, stay tuned. And remember that it is not goodbye, it is until next time. And you'd have to be here to believe it.